Part of this investigation, in March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs' electronic devices. During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment.
My favorite thing about all this is how everybody's just talking about 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Like, nobody can 1,000 bottles of baby oil, but at the end of the day, it's the fact that the court documents say that he was having freak-offs.
No, because Diddy is definitely a menace, because I bought this one bottle back in 2021, okay? You see how much of it I didn't use?
So as you all know by now, Diddy is neck deep in an ongoing investigation after his arrest on Monday, September 16th in New York. And honey, the details are wild. Like, we knew something major was going down when the feds raided his homes in LA and Miami back in March, but the latest info is taking this drama to a whole new level. So federal agents reportedly discovered firearms at both locations, which is bad enough, but there's more. According to NBC News, Diddy's homes were stocked with what they are calling various freak-off supplies. And yeah, it's exactly as nasty as it sounds. And now that the indictment has been unsealed, we're finally getting the full list of what was found in Diddy's homes. Get ready, because I'm about to give you all the deets.
I don't know if it's been done yet, but I had to ask ChatGPT, what exactly does 1,000 bottles of baby oil look like? Because I can't conceptualize something like that.
So, in the latest turn of events, Diddy has been denied bail after pleading not guilty to some seriously jaw-dropping charges, including by force, fraud and coercion, racketeering, and transporting people for the purposes of prostitution. If found guilty, Diddy is looking at a minimum of 15 years behind bars, and at worst, a life sentence. Diddy appeared at the Manhattan courtroom on Tuesday, September 17th, to face Magistrate Judge Robin Tarnofsky. And listen, she was not playing around. The judge straight up said that there's no way to trust Diddy on bail. She pointed out that these kinds of crimes happen behind closed doors, so even with pre-trial monitoring, there'd be no way to keep tabs on him. Judge Tarnofsky basically called him a flight risk, and after looking at the mountain of evidence stacked against him, she shut down any alternatives to locking him up. And this isn't surprising, considering that the investigators found evidence that Diddy continued to pressure and intimidate his victims and witnesses, even after Homeland Security raided his homes back in March. And that tells you all you need to know about how delusional this man is. And get this, according to the prosecutors, after Cassie filed her lawsuit back in November, Diddy again tried to intimidate her, texting and calling her a whopping 58 times in 4 days. But of course, you know Diddy's legal team is getting paid some serious money, and they're not giving up without a fight. Diddy's lawyers are already working on an appeal, and his attorney, Mark Agnifilio, is still out here claiming that his client is as innocent as can be.
I think that we made the points that we've been wanting to make. I think it came out. Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent. He came to New York to establish his innocence. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of the charges. There's nothing that the government said in their presentation today that changes anyone's mind about anything. We believe in him wholeheartedly. He didn't do these things. This was a 10-year relationship. There's no coercion. There's no crime. There's basically just, you know, someone who brought a civil case and now is finding themselves as a witness in a criminal case. And we're going to fight this case with everything we have, as is he. And eventually he's going to be shown to be innocent. And so tomorrow we fight again. And we'll fight every day until we don't have to fight anymore.
But if you thought this was bad, wait till you hear what his lawyer said about that hotel surveillance footage of Diddy attacking Cassie. Believe it or not, this man is actually victim blaming and claiming that Cassie hit Diddy first after she found out he was seeing other women.
The prosecutors are seizing on something that happened 8 years ago. You know, this video that we've all seen. And it's a bad video for Mr. Combs, and he said so himself when he gave his apology. This is 8 years ago, and the prosecutors are talking about him bribing a hotel security worker. There was no criminal investigation. This was just a matter of personal embarrassment because he and the person in the video were in the midst of a 10-year relationship. That was difficult at times, that was toxic at times, but it was mutually so. And this whole notion that Mr. Combs is forcing drugs on someone is just nonsensical, and it's going to prove to not be true.
Well, on that video, he initially denied the allegations when his then girlfriend, who is in that video, filed a lawsuit last fall. And we have that video. I should note, CNN was the first outlet to exclusively report on it. He denied that that happened when she filed it in a complaint. And then when the video came out is when he apologized for it.
So I wasn't his lawyer back then, so I don't, and I don't think he denied. I mean, I think the lawyers were the ones mostly making the denials. I think they were denying crimes. I mean, because at the end of the day, the gravamen of that civil complaint wasn't a misdemeanor, which is what you see on that video. Not minimizing it, but it's a misdemeanor.
And so when you talk about that video of Cassie Ventura, that was his then girlfriend, in the video, I mean, just when you saw that, you said it's a bad video. It's pretty difficult to watch.
It is, no question. So let me tell you what happened.
Will that be used as evidence in court, do you think?
100%, 100%. So what I said in court today, and I'll say it again here, is the two of them were in a hotel. It was just the two of them in a hotel room. She found out that he was seeing someone else. She was going through his phone. She hit him in the head with his own phone. And then she walks into the hallway with two bags. One of the bags has all of his clothing taken from him, which is why he runs out in a towel. So this isn't her fleeing from one of these freak-offs. Why would she take his clothing? That's not what it is. And when the evidence comes out, this is going to be completely different than the government's portrayed it.
But on this video, and I just want to show that again now, how do you defend against allegations that he hit, kicked, and dragged women when he's on video hitting, kicking, and dragging a woman?
Sure, he's not charged with hitting, kicking, and dragging a woman. He's charged with sex trafficking, and he didn't traffic anybody.
But he's charged with a conspiracy here where he was using physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial pressure, as prosecutors allege, to keep these women in his fold. Maybe just Cassie Ventura, but keeping these women in the fold.
Cassie Ventura lived by herself. She had her own house. She had a family. She had a career. And he was seeing another woman at the time. He wasn't around a lot. She could have done whatever she wanted to do. All of these allegations of, I was forced, I was coerced, I had to stay, are nonsense. And it's going to be proven to be so.
Y'all, I know lawyers are shameless, but this is just disgusting. As if we didn't see that surveillance footage with our own eyes. And there's absolutely nothing that can justify what Diddy did to Cassie. She was trying to leave the hotel. He stopped her, he hit her and punched her, then practically kidnapped her and dragged her back to his room. And his lawyer is calling it a misdemeanor? That is anger-inducing. But that's not all. In another interview, this same lawyer tried to justify Diddy attacking Cassie by saying that she also cheated with her current husband, Alex Fine. This is what he said, and I quote, "These two people were in love. Victim 1 ended up marrying the trainer that Mr. Combs got for her. They had been cheating on each other for years, but now she has 2 kids with the trainer. Years later, she realized she had a good thing with Mr. Combs." So this lawyer is claiming Cassie realized being punched and kicked was a good thing? At this point, investigate this lawyer too, because how could he even imply that a woman realized being physically hurt was a good thing? And now let's talk about that unsealed indictment and those freak-off supplies the feds found at Diddy's houses. Because this lawyer kept repeating it's just one victim. So you're telling me that Diddy had 1,000 bottles of baby oil in his house for one victim? I mean, one victim is just as bad as multiple victims. Don't get me wrong, but if you have over 1,000 bottles of baby oil in your house, along with weapons and illegal substances, I mean, that's some organized crime level mess. So here's what the indictment says about that baby oil. It claims Homeland Security agents seized various freak-off supplies from Diddy's mansions, and this includes illegal substances and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Now, in case you're wondering what 1,000 bottles of baby oil looks like, take a look at this.
I don't know if it's been done yet, but I had to ask ChatGPT what exactly does 1,000 bottles of baby oil look like, because I can't conceptualize something like that. I'm a visual learner. Here's the visual. And I'm like, wait, because that's crazy. They said more than 1,000. That is absolutely absurd. This picture was throwing me off, so I had to ask again. I need to see it on a table so I can, like, is that, hold on, 1,000 bottles of baby oil on a table. That this is probably what the room looked like when they counted the bottles. Where do you keep this? One. How the way I cannot I have no words. Like, it's not funny, but like, I cannot process how we got here. I just wanted to share the visual because for those of us who are visual learners, this is what 1,000 bottles of baby oil looks like.
Now, as for those weapons, according to the indictment, the feds found 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine.
As part of this investigation, in March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs' electronic devices. During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims. And they seized cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs, more than 1,000 bottles altogether. Here are some of the items that we recovered during the searches. As you can see here, this is a drum magazine, large capacity, and it contains, I believe, 59 rounds. I mentioned as well that we recovered 3 AR-15s. This is a close-up shot of one of the AR-15s, and you can see right here, the serial number has been thoroughly defaced. Another picture of more ammunition and parts of 2 AR-15s right there. Now, I want to be clear about 2 things. First, this office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment on that. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York.
And as for the illegal substances, the indictment mentions many of them, including ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which is also known as a date grape substance. The indictment claims that Diddy would force his victims to participate in these freak-offs for days, and by the end of it, that Diddy would have IV fluids on deck to revive them. According to the indictment, Diddy used physical force during the freak-offs, including hitting, kicking, throwing objects at, and dragging victims by their hair. And the indictment also claims that after the freak-offs, victims would be left with injuries that took days or weeks to heal. And if you remember, this aligns with what Cassie revealed in the lawsuit, claiming among other things that Diddy SA'd her in her home after she tried to leave him, often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on her, blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in her, forced her to engage in acts with male ex-workers, ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive, demanded that she carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, introduced her to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance use, and demanded that she procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. Cassie also described how throughout their relationship, Diddy frequently beat her savagely. And while these attacks were witnessed by Diddy's staff and employees of Bad Boy, no one dared to speak up against their frightening and ferocious boss. According to Cassie, Diddy would also often remind her that he can cause her serious harm. As for those freak-off sessions, Cassie said Diddy used illegal substances and threats to force her into repeated unwanted encounters with male ex-workers. According to Cassie, these men wore masquerade masks and took substances before they forced themselves onto her. Cassie also explained how she again and again tried to escape, but every time she did, Diddy's vast network of corporations and affiliated entities found her and threatened her. her. But even after Cassie finally managed to escape and thought she was safe, she claims Diddy forced his way into her apartment and raped her while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. Cassie mentioned in her lawsuit how despite the fact that she managed to escape that nightmare and build a loving family with her husband, she's still dealing with the physical and mental consequences that Diddy's repeated attacks caused her. And according to Cassie, she has required intensive medical and psychological care to recover from the trauma she lived through. So yeah, let's give props to Cassie because this proves it just takes one person to speak out against these monsters who think they're untouchable. Cassie really got the ball rolling, and I hope she knows how significant her bravery is. But let me know your thoughts on this investigation into Diddy's crimes. How do you think this will play out? Do you think he'll be slapped with that life sentence? Leave your comments below, and don't miss out on this next video.